As I said, some 37 contractors, without repeating that, they have committed some $10 billion investment into Kurdistan, into these assets. Some has been already spent and some still to come over the next 2 years. Implemented substantial community projects. If you look at a book was distributed with the package, a lot of the companies have contributed to social programs either through funding or implementing projects directly. One of the key companies contributed about $2 billion is KNOC, which is the representatives will be talking later on actually about their activities in Kurdistan. And that is social program is not refundable under the contract. It basically goes to the community work, building hospitals, roads, schools, and so on and so forth. And we've done that out of exploration. So imagine what you can do with the giant fields of Iraq. As a result of that activity, in the shortest period of time, we have discovered 8 new fields. And 3 of those are actually considered to be of very significant size by any world standards. Turning to refineries, we also commissioned 3 refinery sites, to total capacity of 200,000 barrels a day. All of this started 2 years ago. Half of that work is completed. We are already producing, processing 40,000 barrels of oil. And by end of the year, we'll go to about 80 to 90,000. And the year after that, the whole process will be completed. Before this, we used to import everything expensively from Iran, from neighboring countries. Now we are actually net exporters of fuel oil. That is what we have done in 2 years' time. When it comes to power, although it's not my department, but I am the feeder of the energy into it, when I went back to Kurdistan in 2006, we had only 2 hours of electricity. Thankfully, we have now, thanks to one of the companies represented here, Danagas helped us with that. We have now near 24 hours in the major cities and on average about 80 to 20 hours throughout Kurdistan. And still that is on the rise as the consumption increases. So we have done a tremendous amount in 2 years or 3 years activity. These are some snapshots of some of the infrastructure of the oil fields of Taktak and Tawqi. It's the facilities, which is of a world-class standard. This is in Kurdistan, it's not in another country. This is, I believe, the DNO Taktak facility. The Tawqi, the DNO, I think the representatives are here. Again, another snapshot of that. Okay, what we're doing with all of this oil, we have a plan. We have a pipeline route already been surveyed. It goes through the central Kurdistan, from Slemania through Erbil to Duhok, and will join the existing pipeline Kirkuk to Ceyhan. And this will carry about 1 million barrels a day. And this pipeline will be done within the next 12 to 15 months. We are determined to do this, and we are in discussion with a lot of contractors from our neighboring country, Turkey, and also European companies are in discussion with us to do it as a private sector implementation. The private sector will fund this, and through some tariff arrangements, they get their investment back. And that is in process. We also have started something similar on gas. Well, I come to that later on. Now, in the meantime, while we are waiting for this export, we have already got one of our refineries working, and this is going to 70,000 as an example, but currently producing, I think, 20, very shortly will be, as one of my colleagues will talk about, will go to 40,000 shortly. And this didn't exist 2 years ago. This is what we have done by engaging the private sector. If it was up to me to do it, my department would be still on paper. This is very important to know that government cannot control everything. Otherwise, we cannot actually achieve our objectives. Okay, what does it mean for Iraq generally about all what we have done so far? We firmly believe that we have about 45 billion barrels of oil reserves in Kurdistan. This is oil that we didn't have before. This is not part of the 115 billion so often talked about. This is new estimate that we have for the resources of Kurdistan. We believe from the discoveries we have and from the forecasts we have, we can go to about 1 million barrels a day within the next 4 years, say. And we are ready with 100,000 barrels now. We've been ready for over a year now, and we can go to 200,000 very rapidly once the export starts. In the meantime, we'll be building that pipeline to gather all the oil, because it will be expensive to lay pipelines, individual fields, to the current Ceyhan pipeline. What does it mean in terms of operating costs and capital costs? These projects, basically, this is what costs very little in Kurdistan to explore for oil. Operating costs are very low, between $1 to $2 maximum. And largely is a profit effective, the total revenue on the projects, the green line. This means for Iraq in 2014, that is when we get to the million barrels a day, we will be contributing about $25 to $27 million net revenue to Iraq's treasury. Considering Kurdistan gets only about $5-7 million now, $1 billion now as a budget allocation, we're contributing back about 4 times more. We should be thankful for that, because this is for all Iraqi people. Change the life of every family in Iraq by 25% or by 50%. Currently, our Iraq's export is about 2 million. We will be taking it to within a short period of time to another million barrels a day. So from 2010, obviously we are behind a little bit because the export hasn't started, but certainly we are determined that 2011 objective will be met, and very quickly after that will be built up to these figures. How about natural gas? Conservative estimates put the reserves of Kurdistan to about 3 to 6 TCM, which is 100 to 200 TCF if you want to work with oil field units. This actually places Kurdistan to the 3rd to 4th largest actually potential supplier of gas to Turkey and Europe. We believe we can meet all the long-term requirements of our neighboring country, Turkey, as well as surplus to Europe, as a reliable partner without any interruption or interference politically with it. This is what Kurdistan comes in terms of existing estimates with the current suppliers. It's Russia here, Iran. These numbers are much bigger. They're about 30 here, so the scale is obviously exaggerated there. But these are realistic for the rest. So here's Kurdistan here, between the 3 to 6 TCF. This does not include gas south of Kurdistan, the rest of north of Iraq. Does not include the rest of the gas in Iraq, which currently, unfortunately, we are still burning it. This is the pipeline route which we are planning for the gas, a short-term basis. This section already exists actually for the 2 power plants. So we are going to lay this. This will take gas to Turkey for power plants, other internal needs. In the meantime, we will also build a strategic big pipeline to gather all the gas of Kurdistan. Then we'll go to Nabucco and supply also partly to Turkey. From there on, we'll join domestic needs as well as to planned Nabucco pipeline into Europe. So Kurdistan now is a focus point for the gas. It's firmly on the energy map of the world. 2 years ago, nobody has heard about it. So a lot of progress has been made. In the meantime, what we're doing with the gas, because this will take some time to build up the infrastructure, as I mentioned, we solved the power plant problem. And this is just a snapshot of one of the facilities that processes the condensate and sends the natural gas or the dry gas to the power plants. This is a Dana gas project in Germian. It's another night view of it. Again, this didn't exist 2 years ago. This is a power plant itself, transmission lines. Okay, all of this achievement means nothing without some stability, and I think a lot of the sessions focused on that. And I firmly believe the stability comes with the wealth distribution. Without that, Iraq cannot be bound together. It cannot. The people are suspicious. Anybody else managing the resources on behalf of everybody. So, revenue sharing is the key to stability of Iraq. And the revenue law already is there. We already have actually agreed a draft 2007. I hope is the first act of the new government to actually take it to the parliament. And that will actually stabilize Iraq. And therefore, we all will be good servants doing hard work to increase the revenue for all Iraqi people, just like what we're doing.